What's up, YouTube? Daniel back for another video. So, I want to do this one quickly. I just finished a workout. Usually, I go have my breakfast, start my day, but felt like this one had to be shared. And just huge reflections I've been having in terms of compensation. Um, Essentially, I would say the past 3 years, I've been, on this chase. I was always chasing something. Started with women. I mentioned this before in another video, and then it became into business. I started following Andrew Tate, and basically his whole message is, if you have money, you'll be important, and he says chase money at all costs. So I was on that journey for a long time, getting nowhere very fast, feeling worse and worse with anything I did get. And luckily, I met my mentor Yaros. He helped me see that everything I was doing was wrong. I was chasing everything, which is the devil. Everything you chase is the devil. It's just training you to see that, not see that everything is internal. But anyways, I didn't see in the beginning. I eventually had the blessing of meeting my coach now, Mike. I keep shutting him out because in the time that we worked together, it's going to be 3 weeks now. He's changed my whole perspective completely on spirituality and how it actually works. But essentially, working with him, I've been able to see everything is actually internal. I was on this chase thinking, oh, if I have financial freedom, then I'll actually have actual freedom in my life. What I'm seeing now is freedom is not financial, it's spiritual. And I only realized this because the past 2 weeks, I've had 2 days that I can only describe as probably the top 10, top five best days of my life, just in terms of how good I felt. And obviously, I'm not a millionaire. I'm not making all the money in the world, but I'm doing pretty good for myself. But essentially, I thought that I needed, this ideal lifestyle in order to feel how I felt those other 2 days. And it's crazy because, as I'm reflecting more and more, suffering more physically, and also just removing more things to connect more with God, I've realized how compensation actually works. And my mentor made a video about this recently. And essentially, everything is consciousness. This levels of consciousness. I'm not sure if you've seen the graph, but essentially, how he says it, it makes total sense. Is everything that you're compensated with doesn't come directly. So everyone just wants compensation through money. That's like their biggest thing. Like, if I do something for someone, pay me kind of thing. But what you don't realize is you get compensated in different ways. It's not always directly financial. It could be a benefit of you maybe evading some situation in your life. For me, recently, it's been the blessing of being not gifted, but given the opportunity to go to Europe for the first time in my life. I'm approaching 30. Right now I'm 29, and I've always been a dream of mine since I was 7, 8, to go because of a soccer team, FC Barcelona. And you know, I kind of had that like a distant thing of like, okay, one day it might happen. But it's crazy how me being able to serve others, share what I've gone through, anything I know online, and also not rushing and chasing anymore. Previously, I was on a journey of doing OnlyFans management. So this is like, how deep I was in trying to get rich fast, quick money. Obviously, it's a get money quick thing. But my conscience told me there's days I couldn't wake up, days I didn't like want to wake up because I knew I had to do something that was against my consciousness. And then when I kicked with my mentor, he helped me see that you have to feel good with what you're doing, no matter how much money it makes you. If you don't feel good with it, if you do make any money, it's not going to feel right with your consciousness, and obviously you're going to spend that money in order to, or throw that money away because it doesn't fit right with you. You want to feel good. You're going to start chasing vice and stuff like that to remove that feeling, that guilty feeling. And shame and guilt are the lowest levels of frequency. But anyways, what I realized is compensation, comes from different areas. All the work I've been putting in, I'm seeing it's compensated with that, that trip, for instance, with peace, with different things that don't come just financially. And it's crazy how that works, right? Like, instead of working for yourself, obviously some people you'll have goals. I don't recommend having goals because it's all desires, things that are taking you away from getting internal and realizing it's all peace and gratitude. But essentially, those people that have like goals and want to chase goals, cool. But we realize is when you work for God, He knows your goal. You don't have to like pray to Him and say, "Oh, I want this, God. Like, please, if I do this for you, like." He knows what's in your heart. He knows your intentions, and if you actually truthfully work for God, which is the highest consciousness beyond enlightenment, it's God. He will bring you everything because people, what I understand for a long time and I'm realizing now is what actually pays you is someone's conscience. Someone's conscience is going to tell you to give you money for whatever service or product you're providing, and who controls conscience? It's God. So, I mean, there's you trying to manipulate, like the system tells you, like, this is the method, this is the way that for instance, one thing I was used to before is like the YouTube title, like the YouTube title is important. ChatGPT, the YouTube title, because it has to, be searched by people, and like all these methods you try to find to manipulate people's decision making. It's the devil. If you're working for God, like I said, He compensates you in ways that you don't see initially. Like if you're doing something for someone, it's a service or something like that, and you're like, oh, why didn't He pay me this money? It should have been money. But then like for me, for instance, walk this path long enough, and I see a trip for 3 weeks to Europe, with no vices, different mentality, having met my mentor, having met my new coach, you know, feeling good internally. Like this is way more priceless than some money I could have gotten and still been the same person. So the compensation you get, is not under your control. What is under your control is your intention behind what you do and what you're actually working for. So those days that you are super selfish and working for, you'll realize it's the devil that's trying to make you chase money or chase those material things, chase that goal because you think he's promising you a feeling in the future of what it's going to feel like. And I've been there. I haven't chased financial goals that much because I realized my conscience wasn't letting me doing it. But before I did it with women, and you know I had all the experiences I wanted, but I didn't feel better and better. I actually felt worse and worse when I was going down that. So you get the highs are higher, but the lows are way lower. So it's like you get the high, and then you're just low, and then eventually like, what the fuck is this all for? Like, what I mean? Like, you get the experience, is cool. You can brag to some people, but like at the end of the day, your spirit is calling out for something more, and that's why I've connected so much spiritually, because yeah, I believe I am chosen to do something big. I was given this path of finding God. Well, seeing the devil, I mentioned in my other video, but then finding God through that and just connecting with something way bigger than myself. And